My name is Margaret Wong, and I'm a very good friend of Dr. Felton Thomas. And I'm just so honored and proud today to be able to invite him to come and talk to us and have a conversation with you about the Cleveland Library, the public. I love Cleveland Public Library. In fact, I remember years and years ago when I was a young lawyer, I always invite photojournalists or photo people to take pictures in the library with the. It's just a beautiful old place. But now, since Felton Thomas came to us in Cleveland with his wife, living in Shaker Heights, the library also have grown so much and the directions have changed. So, Dr. Felton, can you introduce to us who you are? What have you been doing all these years in Cleveland?
Yeah, I'm Felton Thomas. I'm the director of the Cleveland Public Library. And I came here with one principle, that it is to move Cleveland Public Library from a transactional library to a transformational library. And 17 years later, it's still a work in progress. But every day we talk about how we change people's lives, how we work through community deficits. This morning we're having a conversation about right now people need food, how the library was going to be able to partner with the food bank to make sure there was more food for our community.
Great. And how much is your budget and how much do you need from fundraising versus grants? And what's your future plan on your budget cuts?
So our budget from year to year is about 70 to 75 million dollars, right? But as unfortunate as it may be, the state did some reductions in our budget last year in the budget. And then this year we've had a struggle because our collection rate has been down. It's down probably to the lowest point it's been in my time here. That's because a lot of investors have come into the city of Cleveland, bought up houses, and then aren't paying the taxes. So we're working through that. And so we've had to make some challenging decisions about how do we move forward with the cuts. But one thing that we understand is next year, the community is the city of Cleveland is going to need us more than ever, right? And so we're not going to reduce any of our staffing. We're not going to reduce our hours and our buildings. We're going to do everything we can to make sure that Cleveland has the library it deserves.
Great. And one thing, if you don't borrow from the library, I borrow a lot from that because I'm just too cheap to buy books. I test them out. And I sometimes, if the books are, oh, by the way, Dr. Thomas, it's not a complaint, it's just my concern.
Yeah.
A lot of these popular books, it's always out. Is there some
Yeah.
way, and I know budget is tight, but I love those books and I have to wait there's some books I waited for months. So is there any way maybe we can pay you more so you give us some more books or something?
Well, we always want
Sorry.
more dollars to buy
Yeah,
books.
right.
But what the issue becomes, it's not only an issue of when the books are there. For instance, we'll have a title that comes in. Buy 150, but there'll be 750 people who are looking for those books. So you have a lot of
Right.
people who are on hold, and it takes a while to work through. However, when the book is no longer popular, we have 150 books that nobody
That's
wants
right.
to check out. So
Yeah.
we have to be very careful about not buying a whole slew of books and then having 750 books on the shelf that nobody is currently wanting to read.
And what's your ratio of actually paper books borrowing versus the overdrive and
So
Libby?
yeah, we always try to be a 1-to-1, and so we're very, very fortunate that Overdrive is based here in Cleveland.
Yes,
Right.
and Steve Potash started
Yes,
that.
you've had the
Another old
opportunity.
friend. Yes.
Another old friend.
Yeah.
He started it, and he started it with Cleveland Public Library, and he's like our
Now
own.
he's a multimillionaire.
There, he's
Right,
our personal
right,
hero, and
right.
he's gone on and
That's
done
right.
things or whatever. But Cleveland has one of the best collections through Overdrive because of our connection with them. So they're always this 1-to-1 to make sure that if you can't get a book, in the print version, you can get one in the virtual online version.
Oh, it's not a complaint. It's actually a glorified compliment.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
because people
we're
read. Yes.
Yeah, no, and we're very, very fortunate to be able to have that level of access that we do.
That's right. That's right. So another question I have is, how do you decide what kind of books to buy. I'm a bit
Yeah.
reader. So how do you decide? Because I noticed there's some books, and I even send an email and I'll call my friends who work for you and say, hey, why doesn't your library carry this book? So who decides that, and what's the budget for that?
Yeah, so we're really lucky to have the budget that we do for our collections. And it's much larger than many other libraries. But we are a little bit different in the sense that we are the third largest public research library in the country, right? So it's New York, it's
didn't know
Boston,
that.
and it's us. So when you go downtown, you have access to over 11 million items, right? The challenge in that is, right, we're going to have so many that are popular, but we're also making sure that we're adding to our research components, right? And so when you want something or request it, other libraries probably wouldn't buy it because no one else would want to read it. But for us, from a research standpoint, we purchase those things because we are the library of record for Ohio.
Great. And I also find out, and you gave me a card, and thank you, about a new program you have about the welcoming card. Can
Yeah.
you explain?
So we have so many folks moving to the city who don't have an address or don't have a space. And we want to make sure they know that they're welcome in the library. So whether they come from a different country or they are unhoused, we make sure that they can get access to materials so they can be entertained or enlightened just like everyone else. And so we created this welcome card. Everyone has access to at least 10 checkouts. They get access to our computers, get access to our databases. And this was a struggle for many folks when they go to other libraries, in the sense that if you don't have a set address, many libraries won't give you a library card. But we wanted to make sure that those folks could.
Another program that I really enjoy and I do contribute and help is your speaker series.
Yes.
So can you explain to us, and who picks those speakers? Do you pay them?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
So we have a writers and readers series. We're always looking for folks who are going to bring community members to us, right? And so sometimes they're authors, sometimes they're like celebrities. Like a month ago, we had Pat Benatar, who came in, who as a rock and roll star, partnered with the Rock and Roll Hall to come in and have her come in, and her and her husband just wrote a children's book called Grandma and Grandpa Rock, right? And so we brought them in. But we're always trying to find what the community is looking for. We were very thankful for your support for bringing in some of the best authors in the country, and also some folks who are celebrities and others who the community wants to see.
That's right, because I just think, is there any way, because I lucked out because you are a good friend and your wife is my good friend, so I sort of hear it. Is there any way that the public who's not really involved in our communities know about your programs? Because I think you're more understated. You don't advertise too much because you're always there. You've been known for so long.
I think that's one of the issues with libraries. Folks think they know libraries because everybody has the stereotype of what a library is. And so it's hard sometimes for us to be able to get out there and get people who are coming in. So we have to go out and do the marketing that we do to try to let people know about the Cleveland Public Library. But again, sometimes we fall back on the fact that we are librarians, and so you're not going to find the most outgoing people who are out there who are doing it. But luckily, I think people, when they come into their library, they find out and are surprised by all of the things that we're doing. Some of it is what they would assume, books, study, and others are things that they wouldn't assume they were doing. Like we're providing lunches for our young people, right, with the food bank, or that we are providing online help with legal help with Legal Aid Society, right, in our libraries. So those are things that folks don't generally do, but what we want to do and always is try to figure out what's going to make our community members better, and then how can we provide it to them.
And I still remember when you first joined Cleveland and the library, everybody here was talking about you, so excited, and have things changed? Did you regret coming here because it is a smaller city and you came from a big city?
No, I never regretted coming here. It's been actually so much of a blessing, right? first we met you, you were like one of the first people we met, and
That's
you
right.
helped
Yes.
get me and my wife into our house and find a house. And from there, though, it has been, the ability to raise our two daughters, have them go to school. They're now, one's in Chicago, one's in Shanghai, right? Dancing, doing what they love to do. And then, me and my wife have made this solid group of friends, of people who live here, who are so authentic, so nice. It's just been a great experience.
Great.
Someone asked me the other day, when did you get acclimated to the weather? And I said, acclimated. I don't think I'm still acclimated to the weather. Some days, like during the winter days, I'm just like, this is crazy how I can't go another day without sun. Growing up in the city where you have 300 plus days of sun every day. But it is still, I just still love being here, and it's just been a great time for us.
Great, because I still remember the two little girls, and they would come to festivals, and my family's restaurant, the Pearl of the Orient,
Yes.
that we closed now, we'll get the little girls to help us count the cash and explain to them this is $1. Because apparently, there, of course, Dr. Felton is here, the parents are very much into libraries and books, and the girls really have no concept of money, right? And here we're saying now you sell this egg roll, you make this, and they were fascinated that you can actually make money by selling food, because they don't, the parents sort of, but that's good. Now one is in dance and the other ones, they're still not into business or,
No, both
Right.
of them ended up being in dance, and
but they're beautiful
but they're
girls.
beautiful girls, beautiful dancers, doing what they love to do,
Good.
and so we're very happy for them.
That's right.
Yeah,
They
the one in
never
Shanghai
got-
though, I
yeah.
wish we could bring back, but she's living her best life, so
Uh-huh.
let her live her best life.
That's right. And I still remember those two little girls. They're really shielded. And I don't know how you raise them. They're very sort of, they always have that little innocence in them. And they still call me aunties. And I just thought you are amazing parents, you and Linda.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I think, with this city, sometimes it's a village, and the other kids helped, and the other families helped raise them and give them, the solid background that they needed to move forward.
And can you tell us a little bit about your background coming
Yeah.
in from Hawaii and stuff like that, marrying a Chinese? In those days, it's practically unheard of.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
So, mine's an interesting story, an interesting library story. I started working in libraries when I was 13. I grew up in Las Vegas, and it was a very tough neighborhood I grew up in. And so when my friends started getting into gangs and drugs and all the things that I didn't want to get into, I stopped as we would get off the bus every day and say, I got to go into the library, right? And so I started going there every day. It was the best decision I ever made, other than my wife, right? Because one of them ended up being killed in a drive-by, and the other is in prison for life. And so I'm glad I didn't decide to do that. So I went into the library, and after 6 months, the librarian noticed me, said, "You're here every day, you should work here." And so I was like, okay. So I started working. I was only 13, and they didn't know it. I was supposed to be 14, so I was breaking the law. They said, don't tell anybody. So I ended up working, and continued on through high school, got my degree in psychology at UNLV, and that's what I wanted to be. I wanted to be a sports psychologist to work with sports stars. And all the folks were like, the director came to me and said, "You're like our child, right? You've grown up here, everybody's seen you growing up. We'll pay for you to go to library school." And I was like, "You'll pay for me to go to library school?" They said, "Any master's degree that's accredited, we'll pay for it." And at the bottom of the list was the University of Hawaii. I said, "You'll pay for me to go to Hawaii?" They said, "Yeah." I said, "Goodbye." And I ended up going to University of Hawaii. That's where I met Linda. And I came back, and they put me as a manager in the library that I grew up in. And at that point in time, the light went on that I could change people's lives by being a librarian. And that's what I did. And so I really worked on changing that neighborhood that I grew up in. And people heard about the work I was doing. I got to Cleveland somehow, and Cleveland called me and said, "We got a lot of neighborhoods like yours in Las Vegas. We'd like you to come to Cleveland." And You know, it took a little bit of time with the girls. The last meeting I had for the library in my old library was the Christmas party. And one of my friends was playing Santa, and he came to me and said, "Your girls, they asked me as Santa, the only thing they wanted to do was not move to Cleveland."
Oh,
And it was just like heart-wrenching that we
right.
were, you know. But then they got here, they got all their set of friends. From now, when anybody asks them where they're from, they say they're from Cleveland.
Oh, that is so sweet. That is awesome because I still remember those two little girls were so little, so thin, so beautiful, and I always worry.
They get that from their mom,
Yeah.
not from
Oh,
me.
oh my
Right?
gosh! But it's amazing, and I used to worry, and I'm glad you said about black neighborhood because let's face it, you know, we are into a different bad area, but those girls survived. And
Yes.
congratulations. So, is there anything you want to add about the library, about your fundraising efforts, about what's your long term 3 year, 5 year goals?
Well, I think one of the things I'd like to start with is like let everybody who's watching know that wherever they are, right? Because I'm sure you got people watching from all over. The library is a source for you to change your life, right? And I think people look at it as the library only has this for me, right? And so I talked to many people and they said, you know, it's been years since I've been in the library. I can't remember, you know, and I can get everything online. And that's not true because the reality of it is when you're looking at something, you can't evaluate how the veracity of something. But if you have a librarian whose job that is, it's one thing to be able to help you, but they don't recognize all the things that we have. For instance, we have a makerspace where people can come in and learn how to make T-shirts and yes,
No, that,
yeah, right,
yeah,
and make all of these things with all of this different equipment that they get to use for free. We have a patent library. So if you're trying to create something, you can come down and sit in the library and go through it and figure out, can I patent this, do this, and we have a patent librarian. We have a UN librarian, right, who works with folks from the UN. We have so many different things. We have the largest collection of material on chess in the world at our library. But everyone's library is different, but it has something for them that they can use, right? And as you know, like it's not about being cheap. Why waste money? If you want to go online and be able to get audiobooks, get your library card
That's
for
right.
free.
That's
Get
right.
audiobooks for free. Now you can get movies for free through this thing called Canopy, right? You can get music for free. So much you can get for free. The library is providing it to you. Why pay for it?
That's correct. Now, one thing I always, every time I see you, I mention, I'm sorry about that. Is there any way your libraries could open a little bit more hours? Like maybe on a Sunday earlier than 12, and I don't even think you open Sunday because I stopped
No.
going. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
no.
anyway, I mean,
So-
I think for working women like us, sometimes I just spend a whole afternoon in the library roaming around.
Yeah.
and,
So that's one of the challenges that we all have financially, of how many hours that we can be open to the community. And so from the time when I first got here, we were going through the Great Recession, right? And our budget was slashed, and we had to make some difficult decisions. One of them was to close on Sundays. But this year, we're looking at bringing back, despite all of our problems, we recognize that Sundays are one of the most important days. And we've had these great exhibits that we have been bringing in for the community to see. And unfortunately, a lot of folks couldn't get there to see it on Sundays. So we're working on how we open up on Sundays now.
Yeah, maybe that's a way to do some fundraising,
Yes.
saying that to help us. I think
Yes.
then we know the donors, if they care a lot,
Yes.
like someone like me, then we'll say, oh, at least I know kids can go in on a Sunday
Yeah.
afternoon instead of going to a mall or go shopping or something.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
I think, and to your point, I think for donors to understand, if you were to give dollars to the library, you're making an investment in the community, right? It's just not a donation. This is things that are going to help support the learning opportunities for our young people, learning opportunities for everyone. I tell folks, libraries are one of the more rare spaces. 383 GED, PhD, right? You walk in with a suit, you walk in with everything you own in the bag. The library is open and available to everyone. So when you make an investment in the library, you're really making an investment in Cleveland.
That's so correct. And thank you so much for the interview.
Thank you.
Yes, yes.
I'm like just happy that you asked me.
Oh, thank you.